like with this movie, Baby Brother, we are witnessing a brand new voice emerge in the UK independent movie scene. A storyteller, somebody who's brave, bold, somebody who's going to go out there and tell a poignant story that actually means something. I kind of missed out on Ken Loach. I've seen some of his movies, and yes, while I do like them, I don't necessarily connect completely to them. Now, Shane Meadows, I 100% connect to the movies that he makes. This Is England is one of those movies that really speaks to me, made me think differently about film. But here we have Michael J. Long, a young British director who has made a very, very quintessentially British movie. He's given you something real, something raw, and something absolutely, in moments, brutally honest. A story that he will have heard 100 times. This movie is set in Liverpool. It stars a mainly Liverpool cast. And the thing is, it's micro budget. So really they had to get down and dirty and show you the grit of what is going on. They shot this thing in 11 days. I recognized so much. I connected with it so much, connected with the characters, the brothers. So I did take a minute. I was going to do a written review on the nerdly.co.uk website, always be pimping the website. I was going to do a written review over there because I wasn't entirely sure how my words would come across on the video. But then I thought, you know what, this director's poured his heart and soul into this movie. This crew has got together and helped him make this fantastic thing, this fantastic piece of work. And I thought, spill out my passion, spill out how I actually genuinely feel from the heart. So we're gonna talk about the plot of this movie, which will be a little bit tricky, and you'll find out for why in a minute. Then I'll talk about the cast and crew of this movie. Then I'll get into what I did and didn't like. Then I'll get into my final Nerdly Presents Off the Reel review rating at the end. It's probably going to be quite high at this point, I might as well tell you. But let's get into the plot. And according to IMDb, set around the theme of broken love between two brothers, Baby Brother tells the story of Adam and his vulnerable younger brother Liam across two separate days, 5 years apart. They were once as close as brothers can be. And yeah, I guess that is essentially the plot in a nutshell. I want to dive into it a little bit deeper. Yes, it's 2 days, 5 years apart. And the way we know this in the movie is because when it shows us the 5 years ago, it's in black and white, which is a nice way to separate that. At first, I did wonder, is this just a cheap way of letting us know that it's 5 years apart? Surely there's something else you could have done to let us know this. I don't know what you could have done. But then when the movie actually kicks in and gets going, the fact that the past section is in black and white and the content that we are dealing with in that section and the storyline that we're dealing with, I really love it. It gives me Dead Man Shoes vibes. So we will start there, meet these two brothers. We meet Adam and Liam, and it's obvious from the outset that Adam is the older brother. I think he's like 20, 21. Liam's like 15. And it's obvious that Liam really looks up to his older brother and just kind of wants to be him one day, kind of wants to emulate the life that he's living. And Adam is really protective of his brother. We find out that their mother is a little bit of a drunk, and they have somewhat of an abusive stepfather. This stepfather who, for lack of a better word, is a complete dick. We will find that out as the movie goes on. In fact, we kind of find that out really early on, to the point where he's like got all these debts and he wants Adam to go and like settle his debts for him because Adam's got a little bit of savings. They are very much products of their environments. They are very much the end product of the logical conclusion of where their lives are going to go. And that's what I loved about this film. It puts Liverpool, it puts England, it puts Britain, and it puts the certain class structure, it puts it under a microscope. So what Michael J. Long is doing here is very much showing us that these kids maybe at this point in their lives kind of just don't have a chance. So we cut to the present day section of the movie and we meet Adam again, and Adam's running through a field. He looks like he's trying to get home, but before he gets there, he beats some guy up and steals his bike, and then he steals some things from a shop. So Adam, it looks like his life hasn't exactly gone very well and is kind of just logically gone down the road we thought it was going to go down. He gets home and Liam doesn't want to let him in for some reason, and we realize that Adam did a runner like 5 years ago, or he left 5 years ago. Liam maybe doesn't entirely know why. So now, instead of Liam being the younger brother who's kind of looking up to his older brother Adam, he's very combative with Adam. He's very combative with his mum as well. We start to see that brother relationship kind of rekindle a little bit, but also Liam's not entirely fussed about being the younger brother anymore because he has now gone his way. He's definitely taken a little walk down the road. He's into the drugs, he's into the beer, he's got this girl pregnant, but he does think he's going to be an MMA fighter one day, and he does think he's going to get signed up to the UFC, so I'm all for that. What we get is the present day where we're not 100% sure what is going on with Adam. Liam isn't sure what's going on with Adam, and he's just kind of having to put up with it. We do hear over the radio is very much telling us the world outside and kind of what's going on, and they allude to someone being on the run and out there in the city. No spoilers here, but I think you can guess who that's going to be. We do cut back to the 5 years ago, where we do see them spending the day together, and we realise that they are both like really budding actors. They can do impressions, and they recite movie scenes off the top of the dome. Movies was my thing. Like, when I was a kid and I didn't want to think about everything that was going on, I didn't want to think about my day-to-day, I watched movies. I got into the movie world. I watched as many movies as humanly possible. I'm not saying I'm the only one that ever did it. Don't get me wrong. I know that's what people do. That's how you deal with the shit that's going on. And that's what these two do. And it turns out they're both actually pretty good actors. We might as well get into the cast, because I can't really say too much more about what goes on in the movie. I really want you to watch it. So let's get into the cast. Adam is played by Paddy Rowan. And I will say up front, I don't think I've seen any of these guys in anything else. If I have, it'll have been small roles, things that I don't necessarily remember them from, but I will remember them going forward. And Paddy Rowan as Adam is absolutely sensational in this film. He just takes this role and absolutely runs with it. When he is unhinged, he is unhinged. You're just not sure what he's going to do at any one time. There's a severe bond with his younger brother, but it just can't control this rage that's inside him. But there's a very, very fine line between love and hate. And Adam as a character and Paddy Rowan as an actor is so palpable with this, bubbling on the surface to the point of like, you are just like, please, everybody, get out of this house. Leave the room, get away. He makes you feel so anxious and so tense, so on edge. And it's one of those performances that, honestly, I don't think I'm going to forget for a good long while. When he's being nice and he's being likable, you want to like him, but you also know that any second, that demeanour could just fall and become something else. Brian Comer as Liam, again, I have absolutely no complaints about this actor. Some of his dialogue I do feel is either delivered or written a little bit on the nose. What I liked about Brian Comer is that I believed in the past section of the movie, he's absolutely looking up to his brother, and then in the future section of the movie, there's a certain amount of disdain because he did a runner. He's angry with Adam. He almost kind of hates Adam in a way, but also having him back in the picture is like really good for him. Kind of feel like if he could get out of this situation, he absolutely will. Brian Comer made me feel that way. He had this like, although he's not speaking optimistically and he's not shooting for the stars, I always say that sometimes you don't have to say things to get the point across. Sometimes less is more. Sometimes we don't need a little bit of dialogue in that scene. Sometimes just tell me something with your eyes. That is what Brian Comer is doing pretty much the entire way through this movie. His words and his actions are telling me everything I need to know about the character, but his eyes and his looks and the way he moves, I'm seeing what this character could potentially do if he just got away from the situation. There is a character that comes into this, and he's a friend of the two brothers, Rafa, played by AJ Jones, a great little character that comes into the movie and isn't in it for a great deal of time. Doesn't get to do a massive great deal, but I do feel like AJ Jones absolutely deserves a shout out for the role he plays here. It's quite a pivotal role in the movie, and at first when the character comes in, I ashamedly sat here and thought, I'm not going to like this character very much. I don't know what we're doing here. Do we just have this character to sort of show how much of a bully Adam can be? What is going on here? But no, it isn't that at all. It's not that at all. And you end up seeing that Liam has a certain amount of affection for him, and as does Adam a little bit. But he's just another one of these kids that's in this situation that he doesn't need to be in. I really enjoyed the performances of Julia Ross, who played Joanne, their mother, and Billy Moore, who played the stepdad, Robbie. I did really like what they were doing. They're not in it a massive great deal, but their scenes are always important. And what I liked about them is that, you know, like back in the day when Channel 4 used to actually have balls, but they used to put out content that actually meant something and actually had a little bit of spine to it. And that's what these two felt like. And I haven't seen that kind of dynamic, that kind of mother and father or mother and stepfather dynamic on the screen in quite a while. Something as real and as raw as they were portraying it. And what it showed was that they had a massive great deal of trust in their director, Michael J. Long, because they just kind of went for it in some of the scenes. Like, I've seen films where actors do some of these things that are quite heinous and quite horrendous, and you can tell that they're holding back a little bit. So that's pretty much your cast, but I want to get into what I did and didn't like. And first of all, I'm going to start with director Michael J. Long. I really love what he's done with this movie. It made me, again, I'll say it again, I'm going to say it a million times over, it made me feel a certain kind of way. And right now, with movies coming out like Philip Barantini's making your Boiling Point or your adolescence TV show, and then you've got other TV shows like This City Is Ours, this is a new wave. People are really getting on board with that sort of working class, middle class films and TV shows that everybody can absolutely relate to, and that's why they do so well. That's why people root them out, and people will root this movie out, because when people understand what Long has done with this film, actually doing it in a beautiful way, and that's when this kind of thing works. And that leans into the cinematography. Now, I know this is a micro budget movie, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this is the most gorgeous film you have ever seen. But in those moments when we're dealing with the black and white section of the film, and I know they shoot for colour, they shoot for black and white, they reverse it or whatever they do with all that kind of thing. I was schooled about that on stage once, so I will choose my words very carefully. As if I didn't already know. But, you know, that is what it is. So when they show those sections, and that's when you get the real kind of old school nature of Liverpool, you get the old school kind of grit and grime and dirt and everything, it does still look pretty gorgeous, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. And then when we get the present day stuff, when we're out and about, things look great. As I say though, it's not the best looking movie in the world, but it didn't have to be, and I didn't want it to be. I just wanted to be able to appreciate what I was watching, have my eyeballs pleased, while I'm also simultaneously being disgusted with what I'm seeing on the screen because of some horrendous behaviour. When you watch the movie and there's a scene that looks just straight down the hallway, and it's absolutely gorgeous, the way it's lit, the way it's shot, the action that comes through the hallway, I was just transfixed for a good few moments, and we do it once or twice in the movie, so that is something that I was really happy with, something I really loved. We get some really nice overhead shots that add a ton of tension, that add a ton of like, I don't want to actually be in here. While I know we're outside, I feel very claustrophobic because of the way we're looking at the scene. Damn, Michael, you're really making me feel a certain kind of way about some of these scenes and a lot of these characters. The soundtrack or the score is also doing a lot of heavy lifting in the likes of giving us the tension. There are moments where characters aren't really saying a great deal, and as I said before, I really like that, but the music is really just bubbling away, and it's really sort of just playing with your mind, and it's making you think, holy shit, something's about to happen, something's about to happen, and then it doesn't, and then it does, and then it does, and then it does, and then it doesn't, and then it does, and then it does. Yeah, it's just one of those scores or one of those uses of music and sound that I always just have to respect and I have to appreciate, because it made me feel something that I don't think words could have. And with that said, something I didn't like, and this is a massive nitpick considering everything I've said so far in this review. I wanted more. I wanted to know more about these characters. I wanted to know more about Adam and the time, those 5 years that he's been away. I wanted to know more about why Liam has gone down the road he has gone down. And obviously we kind of know, because Adam did a runner, that Liam has sort of had to make his own way, and that's led him down the wrong path. I honestly don't know how you do that, because we're dealing a day and a day 5 years apart, so I don't really know how you do that. But yeah, this is one of those movies where recently I have been saying you could have shaved 10, 15 minutes off this movie. I probably could have had another 10, 15 minutes to this movie. And the ending, like, I really wanted a little bit more from the ending. I felt wholly unsatisfied because you kind of just plopped me into this universe and I met these people, and then all of a sudden I'm out of their lives and I don't know where they go from here. And that's a good thing, because I'm going to keep talking about the movie, and what you would really hope for from your movie is that people keep talking about it. So yeah, I mean, job well done on that score, I guess, but it is a little bit of a nitpick from me. So I'm going to get into my final Nerdly Presents Off the Reel review rating, and honestly, I'm giving this movie a 5 out of 5. I think you all saw that coming, but this movie is excellently written. Yes, there's a few lines of dialogue that are a little bit on the nose and a little bit just janky and a little bit hokey, but honestly, I don't know how else you get away from that, because there's certain scenario that you're in. But I do think that the actors, especially Paddy, Rowan and Brian Coma, really bring a level of realism and authenticity and just genuineness to these roles and these characters. It's a cool 1 hour 30, so 90 minutes of your time, so you get in, you get out, you get done. It will make you want to look away from the screen at times. Is it gratuitous? Not really. It only does the violence when it absolutely needs to, and it doesn't overdo that violence, which was something I found to be really, really good, because I've seen lots of movies, especially at this independent level, when you're dealing with micro budgets, where they kind of over egg the pudding and they give you just that little bit too much violence, to the point where I'm sat there going, I'm not entirely sure you needed to do that. You could have cut away 2 or 3 punches earlier. But with this movie, it feels like, even though it's brutal at times, it's quite restrained, in the sense of, we're not going to try and glorify this. It is what it is. It's brutal, it's violent, it's horrific. We don't want to show you too much, because you might start to enjoy it. That's how sick I am. But you know what I mean? Like, we don't need to glorify this kind of thing. We just have to show how brutal it is, and people will get the point, and it sticks with them. Will people find issues with it? Yes. Is this movie for absolutely everybody? No. I do feel like there's an audience that would walk away from this movie, but I also think there's an audience that this movie's absolutely made for. It will find the audience it's made for, maybe on streaming or whatnot. People will find this movie, and I think people will talk about Michael J. Long as a director in the same breath, hopefully down the line. I'm not saying tomorrow, but down the line, in the same breath that I mentioned the likes of Shane Meadows, Phil Barantini I mentioned, and these guys absolutely sitting in the same wheelhouse. I could see them doing something just really special and unique, because I genuinely feel like it's a new voice I didn't know, it's a new director I haven't seen, and I get to see something really wonderful on his directorial debut that is bold, honest, brutal, poignant, all those things you would see on a poster, on the box of the DVD or whatever. It's all those things and more. I just think it's an absolutely fantastic portrayal of life you don't always get to see on screen. It's one of those portrayals that you're not going to forget, and it's seared into your brain. Yeah, Paddy Rowan is just... he's just incredible. Like, I am going to go, because I'm just babbling at this point, which I kind of knew I was going to do. I did tell you that I was going to do a written review, so I didn't have to sit here and spill out my guts and my theories and my thoughts and my heart and my passion. I did say I was going to do that. I didn't do that. I sat down to do this, so it's probably going to be a longer video than usual. But honestly, this is a movie that I feel people need to go out and see, enjoy, and absolutely get into. It's as Britain as it's going to get. It's as England as it's going to get. And it's as Scouse, as Liverpool as it's ever going to get. Brilliant film, really raw. Yeah, warts and all, that was Liverpool. That was, yeah, absolutely fantastic film. Please do check it out, Michael J. Long. I will be checking out anything you do going forward. I think you've done a great job with this movie. I might actually just reach out to you and see if we can sit down and do a little poddy podcast or something like that, so we can talk a little bit more about what was going through your mind while writing this, because, I mean, you probably just looked out the window. I'm not painting Liverpool in a very nice light, am I? Liverpool's a beautiful city, by the way. It really is. I mean, it's not for me. I live in Berwick, which has got a population of like 10,000. But yeah, Liverpool's beautiful also. So yeah, go and check it out. Go and check it out. Check out the movie. And remember, guys, if I don't see you in the cinema, I will see you in the next review.